Yeah, we've discussed this video before, but you really should stick around for this one because if you're slightly inquisitive, you have to ask yourself, how does a police interaction go from polite and friendly?
Hey, I was just checking the placard. I'm seeing whose name it was in and if you were the owner of the placard.
To mayhem and chaos.
Oh my God! Why are you grabbing me?
In just a couple seconds.
Why are you grabbing me? Why are you grabbing me? Why are you grabbing me, bro? What are you doing? Get out of the vehicle now.
Gotta admit, why is you grabbing me while grammatically incorrect is a really good question, especially if you ain't committed no crime. Now, I get it. People like to minimize tyrannical interactions like this one right here, and they kind of justify their failure to take a closer look when the person interacting with cops demonstrates their own character flaws. And believe me, this woman right here definitely demonstrates her own character flaws. So let's just get this out of the way. This woman appears to be unstable. She doesn't have command or control over her emotions. She's about as childish as any 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. So she's probably got a lot of other issues to boot. But if you're not free to act childish in America, then you're not free. Besides, what crime did she commit? What victim did she actually create? This woman actually said she was willing to comply with the police officer and leave the handicapped spot in the Walmart parking lot, even though she dropped off her grandmother who was returning to the car.
My grandmother, she went in the store.
She went in the store?
Yes, ma'am. I had dropped off. She went in the store, but I can move. I can move.
And that's another interesting thing about this video. When the Senatobia police released this body cam footage and it was aired by Fox 13 in Memphis, they left out the part where the grandmother comes back at the very end of the video and she actually appears on body cam. That's her right there.
My grandma, I told her multiple times, my grandmama is right there. My grandma right here. Why would I laugh at my grandmama not being there?
How are you? I'm sorry.
So there is a plot twist to this. Grandma was actually dropped off after they utilized a handicapped parking space that the female officer was trying to get the younger woman to leave. And you've probably seen the video, but I want to hone in on the general mentality that people have when they look at videos like this. People, for some reason, seem to feel obligated to pick a side. Either it's the person the cops are picking on, or it's the cop. I'm going to take the cop side, or I'm going to take this person's side because I hate the police. But you got to understand, when you pick a side, bias blinds your eyes, and it blinds your eyes to the reality that's actually unfolding before your very eyes. But regardless of how you feel about the victim or the abuser, whether you think it's the cop or the person that the cop is picking on, tyranny and oppression are happening here. You've got a crime actually being committed on camera. And when you applaud tyranny visiting people like this and you got no problem with it, then you're unwittingly advocating for that same tyranny to visit you one day. And to demonstrate this universal, widespread, epidemic acceptance of this tyranny, we need look no further than these popular videos like this right here from Police Activity. This guy says, it's incredible. Every stage of this interaction was made as difficult as you could possibly conceive. What they're saying is it was made difficult by the person who was victimized by the badged uniformed thug who's supposed to be protecting and serving this lady. That's the most exercise she's had in a decade, so of course they're going to make fun of her physical being. If it wasn't for these videos, I wouldn't believe that there are actually some people that behave this way. Absolute embarrassment. Again, they're talking about the victim, not the abuser who initiated the contact. I didn't expect the grandma to ever exist. Then she pulled up because it does look like this woman right here was lying. It didn't look like she had dropped off Grandma, and yet here comes Grandma in her pink Sunday dress on Mother's Day. And this woman right here gets locked into a cage for having committed no crime on Mother's Day. Like there's not something better to do with these cops' time. The grandma being real is a crazy plot twist. I totally agree. Here's a cancerous mentality. It is so refreshing to see a decisive cop. When she said, "Get out," she meant it. Am I led to believe that Gus here wouldn't have any problem dropping off his grandmother, sitting in a handicapped parking space, and having a female cop or a male cop unrighteously, unlawfully, and unconstitutionally asking for an ID? And then when you offer it up or suggest, "Oh, tell you what, I'll just go ahead and move someplace else," that cop doesn't give you any other option than, "Hey, you obey, you submit to my authority, or you're going to jail." Terry says, "Love it when they find out they aren't in charge." These people love it when the cops are in charge, but they don't want you to be in charge. How dare you question their authority? This is an example of a parent who raises their children to behave the same way. Sad. The woman in the car didn't initiate force and violence on the cop. The cop initiated the force and violence on this woman who's just sitting there, not harming anybody, not threatening anybody, not damaging property, not stealing property. You think the way the cop act, the woman in the car committed an actual crime, and she didn't. First time she faced consequences in her entire life, she cried like my 3-year-old. Granted, it is embarrassing that she cried like a 3-year-old. It's embarrassing that she threw herself down and did a childhood temper tantrum. By the way, don't ever do that. Don't ever cry in front of psychopaths. They want you to cry. First time she faced consequences in her entire life. Consequences for what? Dropping off grandma and utilizing a handicapped space to do it? The show she put on for the bystanders. The bystanders falling for it, both a slap in the face to every actual victim of abuse, zero shame. Except the problem is this woman in the car was an actual abuse victim. And people who are pro-cop aren't willing to see that because they let the shameful conduct of the woman blind their eyes to what the facts actually are. This is an example of an adult who has never taken responsibility for her actions ever in her life. You could say the exact same thing about the female cop and all the other cops who arrived on the scene and decided that they would just be order followers and initiate tyranny on an innocent woman that didn't do anything wrong. And then to boot, violate the rights that they swore to protect, defend, and uphold. She has a right to be secure in her person. And if she hasn't committed a crime, then there's no probable cause, let alone reasonable, articulable suspicion. Scream and act threatening until that stops working, then cry and act like you're being tortured. Ugh. Consequences for actions, total meltdown. There were no evil actions on the part of the woman behind the wheel. Oh yes, the old, "I ain't doing nothing" legal defense. It works every time. Ha 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 ha. She's been pulling this stunt of throwing a complete fit to get her way since early childhood, and it shows. Maybe. And I'm not even saying she's justified in doing it, but I'll tell you what, she was being victimized by the abuser. Oh, for crying out loud, always the victim. Unbelievable. As we see a victim actually being created on body cam and people refuse to see it. And the coup de grace comment, if I see someone struggling with police yelling help, I'm helping the cops. I'm taking the side of the people who historically are in grave error as they dishonor their oath and violate rights. 431 likes and a lot of agreement. Absolute. Head kicks are illegal to a downed opponent in UFC for a reason. They work. Me too. And I love this one right here. Even when they're in the wrong, which is 9 out of 10 times, I hope you get sued with the pigs. And psychopathic actions breed more psychopaths. This guy says, "This just warms my heart seeing that this is being enforced." Playing the victim is her game. Sad. Well, the sad reality, the real sad reality, is this lady actually was a victim of police brutality, authoritarianism, unconstitutional and unlawful acts by a police officer, and deprivation of rights under color of law. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. And if you're going to give a thumbs up for anybody, at least give a thumbs up for Grandma. I'll see you in the next video.